Hi, and welcome to Wurkbuk. Let's have a quick run through of what you can do here. Wurkbuk is based on three main areas: planning, teaching, and marking. You can get to these three sections by using the Plan, Teach, and Mark buttons on the home page or at the top menu. But before we go into that, let's look at importing students. There are three main ways to do this. You can import individual students using the single import feature. You can use spreadsheet import, which allows you to import multiple students in multiple groups at the same time using the template provided. And you can also use Google import if you have your students organized within your Google contacts. Now, let's look at Plan. This section helps you organize, plan, and create your lessons. Before you can create your lessons, you need to create subjects. Here you can see three subjects: computer science, English, and mathematics. You can create more by clicking on the Add Subject button. You can organize things further by creating submenus, like Programming and eSafety for computer science, or Exam Practice and Literature for English. You can create submenus within your subjects or within other submenus by clicking on the Add Submenu button and choosing a name. You can rename subjects and submenus if you need to. Once you have your folder structure, you can start to add lessons by clicking on the Add Lesson button. After you choose the lesson title, you can use the editor to create or add your resources. As well as text, you can add things like tables, images, videos, or embed documents. Once this is completed, this will act like an online worksheet for your students. You can click on the Enlarge button for the editor to take up the whole page, and click on the burger button to see more options. You can also use templates to get you started. If you have a Google account, you can use the Easy Embed button to pick documents from your Google Drive. You can select docs, sheets, slides, and drawings. As well as the folder view, where your lessons are organized, you have a lesson view. This allows you to see all the lessons in all the folders and see which subjects they belong to. Hovering over the lesson shows you the subfolder for that lesson, if it's inside one, and clicking on it goes to that folder. One other feature of the Plan section is the ability to import and export lessons. This allows you to easily use ready-made lessons or share your own. So, that's what you do in the Plan section. Now for Teach. This is the part where you share the lesson resource you just created with your students, so they can complete them and show evidence of learning. You start off by choosing the subject of the lesson you want to share, if you have more than one. Then you choose which lesson from that subject you want to share. Then you select which class or group you want to share it with. Clicking on the Share button creates a separate copy of that lesson for those students that only you and the student can see. The Update feature allows you to make changes to the lesson you have already shared by making changes to your lesson in the Plan section first and then clicking on the Update button. And Delete deletes the lesson resource and removes sharing. Once you have shared the document, it becomes visible on this side menu system, which is organized in the same way the Plan View folder structure is organized, with the main subjects at the top and the submenus and lessons for each main subject visible underneath. If you have a Google document within the lesson you want to share, then Wurkbuk gives you the option of copying that for each student too, and also embeds their own copy of the Google document in their lesson resource. If you have multiple Google documents, you can select which ones are copied and which ones are just shared. This allows you to create resources like this Introduction to Programming lesson that has been shared with Google Student 1. The main presentation here is the same one that you can teach from in class or online. So any changes you make are reflected for all the students directly. However, the document worksheet and the Google drawing are the students' own copies, so they can fill them in as their own. They can fill out their answers directly in Wurkbuk, or by clicking on the Open in Google link, they can do it in the main Google Docs website. Each student Google document has their name as part of the document title. And just like the Wurkbuk lesson resource, only you and that student have access. One great benefit of using Google Docs within Wurkbuk is that you can see whenever the students are working on it. So in class or remotely, you can see whether they're engaged. Another feature from the Teach section is the Google Share and Unshare buttons. This allows you to share or unshare those embedded individual Google documents with your students, which is useful if you want to give limited access to the lesson resource. For example, if it's a test or other kind of timed assessments. The last of the main features is the Mark section. Show Student Work allows you to see the work in a way that's easiest for you to mark. You can show individual student work using the top section, or you can see work for the whole group underneath. And you can filter by lessons they have done too. The Mark Sheet section just shows the student marks and can also be filtered by group and lesson. It shows what groups the students are in and also shows what work has been shared with the students and if it has or has not been marked. There are links to all the documents from here too, as well as other links. The final part of the marking section tells you if there is work that has been submitted and is ready for you to mark. Those are the main features of Wurkbuk. Let's have a quick look at the homepage. You can get here by clicking on the Wurkbuk logo on the top left. The homepage has those big buttons for Plan, Teach and Mark, but also has a section to show any marking you need to do from students that have submitted work, shows comments from students related to particular work, and shows your subjects and groups. Finally, by clicking on your name, you can see your profile, you can find out more help, contact us, and log out. Just before I go, I'll show you what the student view looks like. It's much more simple. It shows the most recent work assigned by various teachers, most recent feedback, and marks awarded for work completed and submitted, and shows the student's subjects. And of course, it has whichever links are shared to the student by their teacher with their assignments on it. They complete their work by clicking on the Start button and filling out the worksheet. When they're finished, they can click on Finish to save their work. Once completed, they can let their teachers know by clicking on the Submit button. Marks and comments are shown to the student when they're available. And that's all.